This tutorial explains how to get the weekdays, month and quarters corresponding to a date object in the R programming language. So without too much talk, let's dive into the R code. In this video I will show you an example, and this example is based on the date object that we can create with line 2 of the code. So if you run this line of code, you can see at the top right of RStudio that a new data object is appearing, which is called date. And we can print our data object to the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 3 of the code. And then you can see at the bottom that our date contains the 10th of May 2020 with the time zone CEST. So let's assume that we want to return the weekday that corresponds to this date. Then we can apply the weekdays function, as you can see in line 5 of the code. And within the weekdays function, we simply need to specify the name of our date object. So in this case, our date object is called date. So if you run line 5 of the code, you can see at the bottom that the character string Sonntag is returned, and Sonntag is the German word for Sunday. So because my RStudio is set to German language settings, I'm getting the German words for the weekday. However, we can also return the month of our date, as you can see in line 7 of the code. So in this line of code, I'm applying the month function to our date object. So if you run this line of code, you can see at the bottom that the character string Mai is returned, which is the German word for May. We can also return the quarter of our date object, as you can see in line 9 of the code. So in this line of code, I'm applying the quarters function to our date object. So if you run this line of code, you can see at the bottom that the character string Q2 is returned. So in other words, our date corresponds to the second quarter of the year. In the last example of this tutorial, I want to show you how to apply the Julian function, and the Julian function returns the time difference from an origin to our date. And for this, we first need to specify which date we want to use as origin. And we can do that, as you can see in line 11 of the code. So in this line of code, I'm creating another date object that we will use as base mark. So if you run line 11 of the code, you can see that another date object is appearing at the top right of RStudio, which is called date origin. And now in line 13 of the code, we can apply the Julian function to our original date object, which is called date. Then we need to specify a comma, and then we need to set the origin argument within the Julian function to be equal to our date origin. So if you run line 13 of the code, you can see that at the bottom in the RStudio console, the sentence time difference of 25,567.96 days is returned. So this is the number of days from the origin to our current date object. That's all I wanted to explain in this video. In case you want to learn more on this topic, you may check out my homepage, statisticsglobe.com, because on my homepage I have recently published a tutorial in which I'm explaining the content of this video in some more detail. I will put a link to this tutorial into the description of the video, so you can find it there. If you have liked this video, or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I'll try to respond to all comments as soon as I can. Furthermore, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified about future video releases. I have already published about 500 videos on this channel, and I'm releasing new videos on a daily basis. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.